So I was reading this article that I found online that says, your home isn't smart, it's just connected. Here's why. Now, for many years, I always say that you can't say your home is smart if you just put certain things in there like a smart bulbs, or you have to constantly saying commands for things to get done. You gotta have some type of automation. And without that automation, your house is not smart enough. Like the Nest thermostat that turns itself off when you're away from home and then turn itself back on when you're about to get home. Now, that's what I consider smart. Without you physically have to go over there and turn the thermostat off when you leave and physically turn it back on when you get back home. Devices that self-checking themselves, like if the battery is getting low, they let you know. If there's a problem with the system, it lets you know also. So the device, in my perspective, has to do a little thinking for itself, without you actually doing everything. It has to inform you what's going on and do some things that you don't have to interact with it all the time. So when I saw this article, I see that somebody out there is agreeing with me on what is considered smart. So the article starts off saying that 2020 is the year we need to start making a distinction between connected and truly smart. And I agree, because a lot of things I read in this article is saying that things need to start talking to each other. Devices are so separated, and even though they try to connect them using skills, for instance, with the Amazon Echo device, not everything is all truly connected. So if we can find some way of come up with a standards where this talk to this device based on a particular language without we actually interacting with them. For instance, the Echo device just noticed that you install a new bulb based on the language that's developed for those smart devices, and you don't have to do any setup. It just automatically set it up by itself. Because if you constantly have to use an app to turn things on and off, or even your voice. For instance, if the bedroom light is on and you fell asleep, the lights just automatically go off because you forgot to turn them off. But somehow the sensor, in your bed, just like how the sensor in your watch detect when you're sleeping and start counting that as sleep hours, maybe the watch could talk to the light and turn the light off because it knows that you're sleeping. So that's the kind of smartness that I'm thinking about. And I think that's what this guy is talking about in this article, that we need to get away from the word connected and make them truly smart, because other than that, all we're doing is just connecting devices and claiming that we're creating a smart home. So on page 2 of this article, it says we no longer refer to appliances like washing machine or water heaters as automated, because in our world today, we just know and expect them to be automated. The more technology advances, the further away we get from having a specific piece of technology as manual and analog versus automated. So what I'm getting from that little piece right there is we expect our washing machine to be smart. We expect our fridge to be smart. It's just the way that we look at the world now. So we look at other things and we're saying to ourselves, why is this is not smart enough to do certain things? Because my washer is smart, my fridge is smart to tell me what's in the fridge based on me looking at the app, and my washing machine, especially the newer ones, can let you know when it's finished washing and it's time to transfer stuff to the clothes dryer. So that's what I'm gathering from that little piece right there, is we expect everything to be automated in some form or fashion. And I know the manufacturers are thinking just like the consumer, to think of everything being smart. They preview things every year, especially at CES, to show you what they're working on as far as putting smart tech in pretty much every little thing they can think of. But we still need to get away from the connected stuff and make them more smart enough to work with each other. So in the next piece of highlighted part of this article, it says we need to move away from thinking of a home managed by rules set by the homeowner to a self-learning home that can detect and learn the habits of the consumer to create more seamless experience overall. So that's what I'm talking about. The home needs to start thinking that if it's cold outside, go in and start the kettle or start the coffee maker so I can get me some tea or coffee, depending on what I like. Before I even get home, go in and set that temperature to the ideal temperature to keep me warm or to cool me down. Go ahead and set the security system without me even thinking about it based on the time of the day. Close blinds, open blinds, all that kind of stuff. Just let the home think for me without me thinking for the home. So let the home do a lot of home management, just like this guy saying in this article, without me setting up a lot of rules and routines to make me think that my house is smart, but I'm still initiating those rules and commands to make my house seem like it's smart. So what do we mean by smart homes? Some say it is where functions are managed remotely, but that doesn't really make it a smart home if you're remotely controlling things. That's basically a remote control home because you're turning off lights remotely, you're setting thermostat remotely, you're doing everything remotely, so you're still managing the home function, you're just doing it from a distance. And then the author gave a perfect example. It says, we could hardly say that the 1985 infamous clapper, the clap on, clap off device, which was a light switch that you can use to turn the light on and off, will still be qualified as smart, even though it was remotely controlled. So what he's saying right there is, if we say smart homes are remotely controlled, well, then you can say the clapper was a smart device, which it wasn't because you had to physically interact with it to get it to work. So we can't say when we're remotely controlling our home that is smart. So when they came up with the Internet of Things, it was to bring the idea of household appliances and devices should be able to talk to each other, but it doesn't really capture what it means to be smart. Smart homes should combine remote function and connectivity with intelligence. And that's so true. Yes, you should still be able to have some remote function, and the intelligent part of it is when you're not interacting with it, like you forget to turn off a light, the light goes off without you going in and check. And the concept of Internet of Things was to put chips into these devices so they can literally talk to each other. And I believe that's still possible. We just need to come up with a standard, some type of standard where everybody follow the same rule or the same standard, I should say. Now, this part is a little bit interesting because we don't realize that we've been connected to the outside world as far as devices for a very long time. It says, devices and controllers have been connected to the outside world since the 1990s, beginning with the development of wireless systems like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. This progression has made this type of connectivity easier and more widespread. And now the majority of people live in homes that are more incredible advanced than we were 30 years ago. So that little section is saying that in a way we've been living in a connected world since the 90s. It's just that we on a different platform now where we're trying to make all these things smart enough by putting these newer technology into bulbs and stuff like that. But the technology is not really connected enough and intelligent enough to function on its own. But like the article says, our home is much more advanced than it was 30 years ago. Of course, with the creation of the smartphone, that helped push that technology a little bit further. And because the smartphone made a lot of this stuff easier to operate, like your heater and your air conditioner, your lights, and other things, you can actually close your garage, check on your home if you're not at home by using security cameras. So the smartphone has played a big part in this connected world. And it's definitely a valuable tool in making everything work remotely when you need access to stuff like your cameras and stuff like that. So one thing for sure, it'll always play a vital part in making your home smarter. So as the article goes on, it says that, the phone, mobile apps, to operate your home, the users have to create automation, which is true. You still have to create your own little routines and stuff like that to automate some things. Your phone still have to be part of this whole thing anyway, because that's how it's going to know based on your location, because it's going to use the location services on your phone. And you just don't want to create a separate device that does location services and you have to keep up with that. Usually people keep up with their phone versus extra stuff they have to walk around with. Now, this part is true. Like he says, we already see this type of intervention going on where, for instance, the thermostat learn your comfort level. The Nest thermostat is a learning thermostat. So it adjusts itself based on certain time of the day and night, and it might raise the temperature, lower the temperature, run for a while and pause for a while, but it's learning your pattern based on how you adjust the temperature. And for instance, when it says the entertainment system is learning your taste in music and movies, Netflix is already doing that on a software level, trying to present the movies that it think that you might like based on what you've been watching previously. And Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, all of those music service is learning your taste in music based on what you're listening to. So when you ask it to play a certain genre of music, it knows what to play, and it try to pick out the music that it thinks that you might like. So I do believe that technology is learning your pattern. So when I get home to my house, it automatically disarm my alarm and adjust the temperature on the thermostat based on the condition outside. And with my smart lock, I don't have to fumble with keys because as soon as I get close to the door opens. And I can also set that same lock to automatically lock itself when I walk in. So my home is smart to a certain degree. There's a lot of areas that I would still like to be smart, but I'm limited based on the technology. So that's what we need as consumers, the people who are building this stuff, to make these things interact more with each other and set up more smart routine into these devices to make life a little bit easier for you. So I do believe this part of the article when it says the biggest jump towards a truly smart home will be in the ability to combine data from every device in the home and other sources and use them to create a unified system, which is so true because we have to get these devices that's built by different manufacturers. You got Google building stuff, you got Amazon building stuff, you got Arlo building cameras, but none of these really talk to each other. Although we got these third-party things that try to connect them like IFTTT, I think they should come right out the box with some type of protocol that they can talk to each other without going to all these third-party services. Because a Wi-Fi device, for instance, talk to any Wi-Fi router. It doesn't need a special code or a special software you have to download to access the internet. That Wi-Fi protocol is just standard. So that's what we need for these truly smart home devices to talk to each other. Some type of protocol. And we can create some type of password security system to let them connect to each other so you don't have to worry about your neighbor across the street connecting to your lights and start to turn them on and off just to mess with you. And to sum up this article, it says the action we command our homes to take through automated process aren't truly smart, since they still stem from human command. The future that we are working towards is one where the home will be able to assist before we think of it. This is what truly smart home will look like. So my final thoughts on this topic is, in order for a home to be truly smart in my eyes, it has to do about 75% of the stuff by itself, with limited interaction from the occupants. So if I fell out on the floor, the home should recognize that something is wrong and call emergency services. And then when emergency services get there, and the outside camera recognize them from EMS, whether the police, fire, or ambulance, automatically open the door and then use the speaker that's built into the camera or the doorbell and let them know that the door is open and they can come on in. And then when they walk in, maybe the echo devices direct them to exactly where I'm at. So the one downstairs can say he's upstairs, and then when they get upstairs, the ones upstairs can say he's in the bathroom, turn left, turn right, just point them in the right direction. That's how I believe a house should be smart. And that's one scenario that I've been thinking about, that it would be nice if the home is smart enough to do all those steps. But I do believe that the technology is laying the foundation for stuff like that to happen in the future. I just think it's going to take some type of protocol to be developed to make all of these devices from different manufacturers talk to each other and have them connected to each other by some type of security measure. That's when a house will be truly smart. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode. I want to thank you for listening and watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.